All right, everybody, live from Cleveland, here by the water, by the lake. Pat Leonard from the New York Daily News and the Talkin Ball with Pat Leonard podcast on the Believe Network. This is Talkin Ball live postgame, coming out of the Giants locker room, coming out of the Giants' first victory. It's a dub. As Brian Burns said, it's good to get that donut off the board. Brian Burns, Malik Neighbors, Dexter Lawrence, Daniel Jones, even Brian Daboll as a play caller in the first half. The big names showing up in a big way in a key spot. It was shaky near the end. The defense had to hold down the fort as the offense went scoreless in the second half, and Devin Singletary fumbled for a second straight week. But from Neighbors' acrobatics to the defense's effort mentality, as Dexter Lawrence and Jason Pinnock said in the locker room, a much-needed victory, especially considering how badly the week 2 loss went in Washington. Felt like a game the Giants gave away. And with the Dallas Cowboys on deck coming up on Thursday Night Football at MetLife Stadium, a team that the Giants are 0-4 against so far under Brian Daboll. But credit to the Giants coming out here and even battling adversity right from the gate. They created it themselves, obviously, with Eric Gray's fumble on the opening kickoff. But Daniel Jones and the Giants catch a break on that interception that comes back because of the Newsome penalty. And from there, Daboll, Jones, and the Giants offense regroups. They go on 2 long touchdown drives. That first touchdown drive actually was, according to Kenny Albert and the great Fox broadcast team that did this game, that was the longest scoring drive by the Giants offense time-wise since their playoff win in Minnesota 2 seasons ago. So in January 2023 or the 2022 NFL season. So that's how long it's been since the Giants went on a drive that long, possessed the ball for that long, and scored a touchdown, or really scored it all, because that was a Graham Gano field goal back in that Minnesota game. But I'm going to get right to your questions. We're going to dive into everything that happened in this game. Guys I talked to in the locker room, injury updates, Malik Neighbors, obviously incredible. We're supposed to be relatively quiet in the press box. I yelled out a couple times, "Holy shit," because this guy is incredible. He made 2 catches today on that same drive there, the leaping grab where he pulled the ball away from Emerson from behind for 28 yards on the sideline. And then that touchdown drive, or the touchdown catch, the 3-yard touchdown catch in the corner, where Neighbors even admitted he couldn't believe that he leapt that high to get that ball. Special player, special young man, exciting to watch. And listen, it's exciting to get a victory. It's exciting to have a victory under our belts because the players put in a lot of work here. And even though it didn't look like it was going in the right direction, for them to stick this out, get a win, see some results from the process they're putting in, they can make fixes, make corrections, and understand it has to be better, because all things being equal, as well as all these guys played, it still almost got away from them, and you have to learn how to finish. So the Giants finished this game. That's good to see. You got to back it up now. As Chris Manhertz told me coming into the game, you got to do it again, and again if you are a good team. So I'm going to get right to your questions after I tell you about our sponsors here on Talkin Ball Live with Pat Leonard on the Believe Network. Remember, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button while we are live, and also purchase those super chats and super stickers. Those will be the first comments and questions I answer in the queue. All right, guys. So first, I want to tell you about MyBookie. MyBookie is celebrating its 10-year anniversary. And obviously, you guys have probably seen my Pat's picks each week. 3 special games I pick, and then also a prop bet in the NFL. I've started doing Giants props because I'm close to it. Last week, Tyrone Tracy didn't hit, but this time, Wan'Dale Robinson over yards, over 29.5 yards. That hit in the first half, so you're welcome. Hope you saw my post in the morning and took my advice. But if you play at MyBookie already, you know that you can win there all season long. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie, mybookie.ag. And if you're already a player there, you know now probably that they have a new loyalty rewards program called MyBookie Plus. So basically you earn more rewards, you escalate up the tiers, you unlock exclusive promotions. It's a lot of fun and rewarding if you're already a loyal member. Also, risk-free Thursdays, boosted bets, and of course, last but not least, the promo code. So if you click on the link in any of my profiles, any of my bios, Instagram, TikTok, I'm on X or Twitter at PLeonardNYDN, and it's PL on NFL everywhere else. Click on the link and use the promo code, ready? Pat's Picks, PATSPICKS, and you will get 100% match on your first deposit of $50 or more, up to $1,000, plus a $10 casino chip. So that's my bookie. Also brought to you by Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink. That's a natural extract, as you know, loaded with anti-inflammatory, immune-boosting antioxidants and heart-healthy compounds. You can easily pour this natural liquid supplement into any of your favorite drinks. I put mine in my coffee every morning and immediately feel the difference. I personally have felt a post-workout-like energy boost with Boom. Chaga also has the ability to lower cholesterol, reduce inflammation, and improve immune and heart health with its beta-glucans and antioxidants. Go to boomchaga.com today and place your first order. And if you use the discount code right here, Talkin Ball 25, or use the QR code on your screen, you'll get 25% off your first subscribe and save order. Right now, that means a month's supply costs you only $30. Start feeling the difference today, boomchaga.com. So remember, boomchaga.com, go to subscribe and save. Put a bag in there, go to subscribe and save option, purchase it with the code Talkin Ball 25. You'll get the huge discount, and then you can cancel the subscription if you want. You don't have to stay subscribed. I think you will. I think you'll like the product. But if you don't, there's no obligation, so don't worry about that. I know some people here have already purchased it and tried it and loved it. And guys, let me just tell you, thank you for all the super chats. Thanks for always being here. If you want to continue to support the channel and keep seeing this grow, the best way to do it is to try one bag. That's it, one bag of Boom Chaga. Try opening a my bookie account with the Pat's Picks code. Really appreciate everything you guys are doing here. Also, Estate 98 coffee, an all-natural specialty coffee with no sugar that is convenient for the on-the-go professionals and parents. It takes me less than 10 seconds to make a delicious Estate iced coffee. Or listen, if you're just a coffee drinker on the go, if you're anyone, a coffee drinker on the go, it's great for that. Also, you can make a hot coffee or latte with it, with this all-natural concentrate. Just takes you a minute more. Go to estate98.com/talkinball to get a special buy one, get one free deal. That's estate98.com/talkinball for a special buy one, get one free deal. And remember, we're going to do our Estate 98 trivia in a little bit. So when we do that trivia, the first person to answer the Giants trivia question will have a bottle of Estate 98 coffee mailed to them, whether it's P.O. Box, address, wherever you want. All right. Candyman's going to start us off today. He says, not perfect, but a win is a win. Need to hit those deep throws to have a chance against Dallas, celebrating with an old fashioned, like my man, Pat. Candyman, I wish I could celebrate with an old fashioned right now. Actually, interestingly enough, I'm trying that old intermittent fasting right now. I don't know if any of you have tried that out, but I'm not drinking right now, and I'm not eating. I'm eating between 11:30 in the morning and 7:30 in the evening. And so no alcohol right now, eating responsibly and only eating in that time window. So I'm already seeing results. I feel good, but trying to keep it up, trying to stay fitting into these nice Sal Loretta clothes and be a healthy dad and healthy working man as we continue to do more on camera like this on YouTube and press forward. So unfortunately not sharing in your cheers with the Estate 98, or I'm sorry, with the old fashioned. I'm more like using an Estate 98 coffee, or I have a water right here that I'm drinking. So that's the situation here. But Candyman, to your point, you do need to hit the deep throws. Listen, how exciting is it that you can throw a ball like that basically to a cornerback's hands and neighbors can just take it away from the guy? I mean, I don't remember seeing a catch like that in person, me personally. So that was a crazy, awesome catch. And then the other thing you mentioned about hitting the deep shots, there was a call Daboll made so you know how Neighbors made one of his bread and butter plays at LSU was the slot fade. And they had him going on a slot fade, and he beat Greg Newsome in the third quarter, and Daniel overthrew him. I think it would have been a touchdown. From my vantage point, would have been a touchdown. So I think I would look for that play to get run back against the Dallas Cowboys. Joel, thank you so much for the super chat. He says Deonte Banks keeps getting cooked week after week. Is It's going to be a big concern when playing a real passing team. We need to figure out our cornerback situation. It is discouraging. Even though you can, obviously it's an incompletion. It was a 4th down stop late there, but let's be fair. Cedric Tillman dropped that pass, even though Banks was right there. He had a tough time of it in the second half. They really decided to attack Deonte Banks and go right at him. Was a tough game for him. It's obviously good to get a win when that's happening to your number one corner. I think we all know that this is kind of how the team is built right now, right? And it's unfortunate. We've talked about it before, though. Like Joe Shane saying flat out on Hard Knocks that, maybe I'm going to have to play for corner for us when they were talking about making a trade for Brian Burns. And he said it like half joking, but you can tell that, it's a very real thing that he recognized, the need for corner and the fact that if they were going for Brian Burns and using that high 2nd round pick, they might not be able to get one of the corners they wanted there. And that's exactly what happened, right? They wanted either Kamari Lassiter or Kool-Aid McKinstry at the top of the second, then they didn't. So that's just the situation they're in. They definitely do need a fix at corner. I do think Nick McLeod is tracking towards coming back Thursday night against the Dallas Cowboys, possibly. They left him home from this trip. He has that knee injury he's been working on getting better. I do think McLeod may be ready for that game, but obviously with Drew Phillips banged up, you had Adoree Jackson banged up in this game. I mean, guys were saying they were okay in the locker room, but, you take it with a grain of salt. I mean, players are going to say what they're going to say. It really comes down to how they're examined and what you see, when you go and look with the trainers on Monday and Tuesday. And on a short week, too, it's hard. Listen, there's a lot of encouraging things to come out of this game. Dexter Lawrence and Neighbors obviously stood out to me, and Daniel Jones, too. I'm excited coming out of this game about Brian Burns specifically, just because, listen, you paid him to help dominate these games. You paid him to be a guy that that gave the opponents fits, and he hadn't been that through 2 games. He hadn't been that through 2 weeks, and that was discouraging. And to see him do this, also to do this with a groin injury, right? He had that groin injury, and I thought coming into this game, it was a real question about what exactly Brian Burns was going to look like. I mean, he even going into this game, Brian Burns actually on the field, he did like a pregame workout where he was testing his groin and his his ability to kind of work through it at full speed and how his body was going to feel. It was a legitimate, like, okay, I'm questionable for this game. Let's see how I feel and go from there. So, I think that's really encouraging to me above all. D Kit says $10 for the win, Pat. Phillips has a calf. Slayton broke his finger. Other than that, did we get out unscathed? Also, apparently Bowen decided his scheme from last week needed to change. Yeah, Slayton said he's okay. I mean, he didn't have anything on his hands when I walked up to him. And, I don't know exactly what to make of that. I mean, I'm obviously he's banged up. He did come back into the game at one point. So, not exactly clear what that is, but definitely was serious enough for a guy he's a tough player too, to leave the game. And then, Drew Phillips' calf, that concerns me. He's the guy who's been kind of banged up throughout camp and in the early season. Had some issues coming into the season with an ankle, I believe. So, that's a concern in the secondary, like we just said. Yeah, Shane Bowen, definitely nice to see him blitzing and sending pressure and looking like they're throwing a lot more at an opposing offense. Now, I will say this, as far as, hey, let's flush it and prepare for the next game. I think one of the encouraging things, to think about is, one of the one of the cleanup areas is Deshaun Watson early in this game was not processing well, was not seeing the field well. There were plenty of plays in this game where something was open, but Watson had his eyes down at the rush or didn't see it right away and then tried to escape. And you saw he still does have some of that escapability about him, but his processing down the field was very slow. I think when you're going in and playing a team like the Cowboys, even though they're getting their butts kicked by the Baltimore Ravens in that game over there at AT&T Stadium, an offense like the Cowboys and a quarterback like Dak Prescott with an offense like Mike McCarthy's, I think is going to be a different animal. So again, exciting that you get this win, exciting that the defense bounces back. Now to solidify that you're this team and that you're this defense, you go back and do it again against Dallas. But you're absolutely right, D-Kit. Encouraging to see Bowen learn from his mistakes in the Washington game and for the defense to bounce back in that regard. So that's a great thing to see, of course. All right, let's get back into the queue. All right, Brett M says comeback player of the decade, Pat, talking about Daniel Jones. Yeah, a little shaky there in the second half, basically the entire offense in a lot of ways. But, let's face it, Daniel Jones and, let's give credit where credit is due here. Brian Daboll's first half play calling was very good. And not only just, I'm not sitting here saying it's good play calling because they scored points. I'm saying it was good play calling because Jim Schwartz is a respected defensive coordinator, and the Browns have one of the better defenses in football. They have one of the better defensive lines in football, and he was bringing a lot of pressure. Daboll and the Giants were specifically ready to attack Schwartz's scheme today. The way that he was throwing screens with Daniel Jones out into the flat to the running backs, the way that they were attacking the middle of the field at times with Wan'Dale Robinson, the way they then unlocked Malik Neighbors when the opportunity presented itself, when they got the Browns out of their initial looks and plan defensively. The running games for both teams didn't blow you away. I mean, the Giants defense, obviously, you're talking about Bowen's defense. The Giants defense really finally came to play against the run. Only 69 yards rushing for the Browns, 3.8 yards a carry. On offense, the Giants only averaged 3.5 yards a carry, and Singletary obviously fumbled. But they got that big 43-yarder at the end of the game to seal it, right, sliding down there from Singletary. But imagine, they averaged 3.5 a carry, and that was with that 43-yarder at the end of it. But I just thought Daboll, and I asked him about that too. I asked Daboll about, did he feel like he had the right plan? Because he was countering everything that Schwartz was throwing at him. And he said, I felt like I had the right plan all game, but we didn't score in the second half. But that's how you have to feel as a play caller. That's why you spend all the time putting it in. He said it comes down ultimately to execution, but we were in a little bit of a rhythm, which is, I definitely thought you saw that from Daboll's play calling and the execution. The quarterback was seeing things good or well. We were changing up styles of play. We were throwing enough in there in the running game. Schwartz is a good defensive coordinator. So, the second half obviously was a different story. That was a really good job by Schwartz and the Browns of adjusting to what Daboll had figured out early on. For the record, never let a coach or somebody tell you that halftime adjustments is not a thing, okay? If you're ever listening to a broadcast and you hear somebody say halftime adjustments are overrated, or you hear a coach say halftime adjustments are overrated, that is a lie, okay? Like, this game is a great example of that. The Giants in the first half had an offensive game plan where they were not – the Browns were not stopping them at a certain point. They had 2 straight drives there where it was I need to call it up again. So there's 2 scoring drives there back-to-back. They went 13 plays, 81 yards, 7 minutes, 44 seconds. And then they went 14 plays, 93 yards, 6 minutes, and 51 seconds. And then Burns has the strip sack, and they punch it in again. And for the record, Malik Neighbors' game wasn't just about the heroics and acrobatics. It was also, as one of the esteemed gentlemen in the Fox broadcast noted to me, how about Neighbors on that play? So Burns with the strip sack. Neighbors catches a 12-yard completion on the first play for the offense. Gets out of bounds alertly. Make sure he gets out of bounds to stop the clock there, okay? So that was smart. Also throws the ball away in the fourth quarter when Daboll gives him a direct snap as a quarterback in the red zone. Easily could have forced a throw or not made the right read. And then as Daboll said, he felt like his favorite play of Neighbors was when Jones tried that throwback to Theo Johnson. And listen, that was a really risky call by Brian Daboll. I mean, I know he was playing aggressive, and that's great. And some of his aggressiveness did pay off today, like the fourth down early on to Neighbors on the jet sweep. But that was a risky call by Daboll. But Daboll said Neighbors knocking that pass down, alertly being able to knock it down and not try to catch it, making sure that it wasn't caught by Denzel Ward or Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. That was, in Daboll's mind, the best and smartest play that he made. And so, from leaning on Neighbors in big spots to Neighbors making smart plays when he was called upon, just a really exciting game when you talk about what that rookie is capable of and what he's going to be. All right. Staying in the queue here, Hunter says, imagine if Daboll brought a kicker last week, would be a whole different conversation. Yeah, I know. Man, Eagles look really lucky skating there, right, in New Orleans. I can't believe my best bet of the Saints didn't hit. I mean, that line actually started with the Eagles being favored and then switched to the Saints being favored. I liked it either way, but it was close to the Giants being, like, as you said, 2-1, coming off last week and this week with the Eagles being flip-flopped. But this is the reason why, Hunter, you just can't do that in the NFL. Like, in other words, last season, the Giants were 6-11, and they lost 3 games, really close games that they should have won. So they could have been 9-7 instead of 6-11. But that's why you just can't do that in the NFL. You can't say woulda, coulda, shoulda. You either win those games or you lose them. That's just how it goes in the NFL. So you either win or you lose. Most of the games are coin flips. So you deserve credit, like the Giants do today, as shaky as it was down the stretch. You deserve credit for winning this game compared to, the Washington game last week or some of those games last year where they find a way to lose. Like, if you find a way to lose, you get criticized for finding the way to lose. If you find a way to win and hold on, you get credit for winning and holding on. British Gridiron Films. What's up, British? Says, happy for a Giants win to give us all hope again. 11 seconds in, it didn't look like it. The Daniel Jones interception that got canceled by the roughing penalty felt huge in avoiding a nosedive performance. Absolutely, British. It's as far as how I'm covering the team right after the game. That's in the game story. I'm not dwelling on it, but you make a great point, which is you could argue that was the play of the game. As far as how poorly it started, the swing of if that's intercepted and the Browns have a short field again, imagine being down 14-0 versus that penalty, it gets canceled out. And the Giants capitalized with a touchdown drive, right? It wasn't just like it got canceled out and the Giants punted. They capitalized with a touchdown drive. So I agree. You could easily argue play of the game. Big win for the G-Men, says Dan O'Brien. Indeed, Dan, indeed. Thanks for being here on Talkin Ball Live. Elias says, hey, Pat, got my Estate 98 in the mail. Great win. Elias, you won the trivia, so you get the Estate 98. By the way, we'll have that Estate 98 trivia coming soon, so everybody stick here. All right. He says, besides Neighbors being elite, my favorite part was Shane Bowen showing adaptability and looking like Wink out there first half. Just need consistency in second half, offense and defense. Yeah, I mean, right, not necessarily being Wink Martindale, but what you're saying is throwing some unpredictability, some pressures, and let's face it, a guy like Jason Pinnock, he is best off when you use him as a blitzer. There's other things he can do. He's competitive, good dude, love him in the locker room, love him as a player. But, like, what he does best is blitz. So use him that way. Your linebackers, right? Send them sometime, drop them sometime. Still things that need to be cleaned up, like Isaiah Simmons letting Watson escape outside on that one. You can't have breakdowns like that. Like, you just can't have breakdowns like that. But you're absolutely, Elias. I think, Bowen deserved to be criticized coming off of last week's game, and he deserves to be praised coming off of this week's game, the way the defense performed. By the way, speaking of coordinators, Michael Gabriel, the Giants special teams coordinator, a total no-show at his press conference last week, refusing to talk about his kick coverage team, giving up a 98-yard kickoff return to start the game on which their kicker, Graham Gano, got injured and is now on IR. Sorry, man. You have to be accountable, and you have to talk about what happens in these games. You can't wait till Thursday and walk up to the podium and say, I'm not talking about that. We're on to next week. You got to talk about what happened on the play. I mean, it's your prerogative to not do it, I guess. But, hopefully you'll talk about Eric Gray fumbling on the opening kickoff as well. Because Shane Bowen and Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka and all the other coaches answered to pluses and minuses on their sides of the ball. This is just how it works, right? It's how it works. All right, Joel says, Banks sucks. He got lucky that Amari Cooper got hurt towards the end of the game. He took his lunch money and his coat today. Shaking my head, we need a real number one corner. He gives so much cushion at the line of scrimmage. The cushion is part of the defense as well, though, Joel. Like, I think Banks, he was better. He's better off in press man. So, of course, Cooper was still working in when he was pressing today, too. So I think Banks was kind of going back and forth on that. The bottom line is this is a young guy, a young player who's still developing and growing, and you're asking a lot of him to be the number one corner on this team. And it's a new scheme as well. So I agree that, there were times you saw today where obviously he was a weakness, especially in the second half when, they were attacking and not holding back. But that's the position they put themselves in personnel-wise. Jake says, after losing week 1 and 2, I kind of wanted to tank. Well, I hear you on that as far as, foreseeing that are they going to definitely take a new quarterback next year? What does this look like long term? But, these players are professionals. These coaches are professionals. And listen, everybody wants to protect their jobs here in New York and wants to build something and continue to build something sustainable. And, that's the main goal. That's the main goal. And so I hear you, but, until you get late in the season and you're out of it, these guys are working very hard to turn this around and put their best possible product on the field. And kudos to them to bouncing back when not a lot of people, including myself, thought they were going to. All right, let's get really quick into Hunter says Wandale is starting to come into his own also. Always liked him. Well, here's the thing about Wandale. Good player if he's a complement in your offense. He can't be a guy that you're leaning on as a top option. He is a capable specialist, slot weapon, a guy who can create mismatches depending on who you're putting on him. He's quick, right? He's strong for his size as well. You saw some of those short gains where looked like one tackler wasn't always finding it easy to bring him down, needed some help bringing him down if it wasn't a direct hit. So, competitor, tough kid. I do like him. Like he has tough makeup. So all those things you do have to like. All right, let's get to the Estate 98 Talkin Ball live with Pat Leonard postgame trivia. I'm going to give you a Giants trivia question, and the first person to get the answer in the queue is going to win a free bottle of Estate 98 coffee. Okay. Dexter Lawrence led the Giants. So there were 8 sacks for the Giants pass rush. Okay. And, that was split amongst several Giants players. Dexter Lawrence had 2. In addition to those sacks, Dexter Lawrence also was credited in the official box score with 4 quarterback hits. The trivia question is, and again, first answer wins, who had the second most quarterback hits? So that's not including the sacks. So there's the sack, and then in the box score, there's quarterback hits. Dexter Lawrence had 4. The Giants had 17 as a team. Who had the second most quarterback hits on the team according to the official box score? Hunter Keller is first. Micah McFadden. Hunter Keller drops it in there. Hunter, way to go. And a lot of good guesses there. We had people saying Elijah Chapman, Azeez Ojulari, Jason Pinnock. But the answer is Micah McFadden. Looks like Brett and Hunter were neck and neck there. Hunter comes in right at the gun. So, Hunter, here's what you're going to do. Direct message me on Instagram, PL on NFL. Send me a direct message tonight or tomorrow and send me an address to send it to you. And I will send you a free bottle of Estate 98 coffee. Well done there. Joel says, can we please stop putting Eric Gray on kickoff return? It obviously didn't work last week. I agree, Joel. I don't think he belongs on there. Maybe they start using Amir Smith-Marset with Tyrone Tracy on kick return because I agree, Eric Gray just not a player that you can have there. Hunter says, I will send you a direct message after this live. Thanks, Pat. You got it, Hunter. And everybody, as you know, that trivia question giveaway, that Giants trivia was brought to you by Estate 98 Coffee. Go to estate98.com/Talkin Ball to get a special buy one, get one free deal. Joel, thanks again for that next super chat. And let's get back into the queue. Joey B. Comedy says, Pat, what a win. I was pessimistic, but man, what a grinded out win. DJ had his best game I've seen. Neighbors is a stud, and the O-line looked good. God, I hope we can do this versus Dallas at home. I thought the O-line also had some help from Daboll's play calling for sure. Like I think they did have some leaks, and it wasn't as good, right, as like firm and oh my goodness, like they're not letting any pressures in as it may have looked like. I do think, however, that Daboll, the blocking and the battle up front, plus the scheming, and really it was the throws, quick throws and screens to the outside to get to the perimeter and offset the pressures and the battle and the disadvantage at some of those points of attack up front against the Browns defense, I think was a huge key there. Yeah, the Dallas game's a big game. Gerald says to Jake, why would you want to tank 3 games into the season? That doesn't make any sense. Gerald, in Jake's defense, I would just say, the messaging from the Giants has more been like, this is still about the future, right? That's kind of what the messaging has been. So, even as far as like, the writing is on the wall that no matter what Daniel Jones is doing, the writing is kind of on the wall. It's like, hey, we're still in line for that next quarterback, right? That's like the stuff that you keep hearing. So, in that regard, I don't blame any fan or person following the Giants, including Jake, for kind of being in that mindset coming into a game like that. I don't think that's unreasonable at all, for sure. Let's get to the next question here. Joey B says, what have you heard injuries for today's game? Who's next man up for some guys who may miss time? That's a great question. Great double barrel question there, Joe. So you saw with Drew Phillips and Adoree Jackson going down. Isaiah Simmons in the slot with Flott on the outside was the solution mid-game. I think there's a chance McLeod comes back with the knee, and then you have McLeod outside with Flott inside next game. I don't know who you have guarding CeeDee Lamb. I guess Deonte Banks would be following him. Could be the issue, but we'll see. I mean, Banks typically plays the outside, so that's going to be something they really have to figure out. We'll see about CeeDee's health. I haven't been watching or following that. That could be a factor as well. Also they had Art Green playing some defensive snaps today. I know that sounds like a guy that I created on Madden today, but he's a real player on the Giants. He got elevated today from the practice squad, played some special teams, and saw a handful of defensive snaps in like dime and quarters coverage today. So they might try to work him in more as well. Andrew Thomas got rolled up on at the end. You saw he came back in. He told me he was all right. Then he was still kind of getting ready, wasn't ready to do a full interview yet. And I didn't end up getting back to him because I was talking to Brian Burns, Malik Neighbors, some other guys in the locker room, Dexter Lawrence. But Andrew said he's all right. I mean, the backup to Andrew Thomas is Josh Azudu at left tackle. Their backup right tackle is Evan Neal, to at least what they say is it's Evan Neal behind Jermaine Illuminor. Illuminor did not get hurt. I'm just mentioning that's kind of the way their plan is aligned, is what you hear, is that would be the plan depending on who gets hurt there. Darius Slayton with the finger or the thumb, he told me he's fine. I don't know. I mean, that's, he did come back in. I think that's the kind of thing on a short week, though, that once they go in and look at it, that might be the kind of thing where it's like, hey, should we be smart about this and bring up like an Isaiah Hodgins, for a Darius Slayton for one game and try to let it heal, but I don't know. I guess that would probably, though, in my eyes, be the way to go. Joey says he wanted to tank too. Let's just get the top pick if we were going to suck, is my opinion. Hunter points out that Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, is cooking bad for the Carolina Panthers. Steven says, wonder if DB, I think you mean Brian Daboll, asked Pat if he's worried about his job. No, he did not. I do not make $5 million a year to coach an NFL team. And so I'm not at the podium answering those questions. But if Brian Daboll did ask me that, I would have thought it was funny, and I would have taken it in stride. I also didn't think that I still don't think it changes last week at all. I don't think it changes the stakes of this season. I do think Daboll had a good day today overall. I do think that there were enough encouraging signs here to say, like, okay, job watch is on hold at the moment, right? Because if you do this and then you back it up against Dallas, now you see progress. Now you're talking about building a team. So if the Giants can back it up, get results, and if Daboll can give them a schematic advantage the way he did in the first half of this game, those are the things you're looking for, right? I mean, listen, a lot of game management stuff in that second half to be concerned about. I mean, the Giants, after being very aggressive, there was a lot of playing not to lose. They were playing for a field goal that Greg Joseph misses there. And Greg Joseph, by the way, that field goal wasn't even close. I mean, I don't know what the heck that was. That was ridiculous. Let's see. All right. Barb says, why did it seem like the game plan changed after the half, both offense and defense? Barb, I think what happened is Cleveland adjusted. Jim Schwartz and Kevin Stefanski on the other side of the ball with Cleveland adjusted. And Cleveland's defense, they threw some different kinds of looks and pressures. Like Daboll really had those kind of corner blitzes and those extra men off the edge coming from the Browns defense. He had that pegged and was going right at those schemes and those pressures with the ball going outside in the first half. And the Browns started sending guys from different places in the second half, also getting guys into coverage in certain spots and really just taking away what the Giants had done well in the first. Also thought the Browns tackled better in the first half. The Giants were breaking some of those tackles on catches and runs in the first half. In the second half, the Browns were bringing them down. And then on the other side of the ball, the Browns, they ran the ball a little bit more in the second half, not much, a little bit more, and they definitely started prioritizing Watson getting the ball out faster, which obviously should have been a priority anyway, but, he was really slow processing in this game. So you could tell, though, not only did they prioritize that and remind him of that, but they started calling plays for that. So they just started calling, whether it was a fade to Amari Cooper or an in cut to Amari Cooper or a hitch to Amari Cooper. I mean, it just felt like they were going right at Banks, going right at him. Cooper finished with 7 catches for 86 yards and 2 touchdowns. It felt like he had a lot more than that. Right. Everyone did make adjustments. Daniel Jones was very good today. Don't discount there were a lot of drop passes, says Todd. Yeah, Todd, you're right about that. There were also some plays where Daniel and the receiver were just a little bit off. Like there was a third down where he and Wandale were just off. Like the ball hit Wandale's hand, but it wasn't a play that it wasn't a catch he should have made, So you're going to have that. I mean, like I said, Daniel did miss that Neighbors touchdown in the third quarter. He had him open on a slot fade. But, yeah, listen, everybody on offense deserves a pat on the back for the way that they responded and played in the first half. No doubt about it. Second half obviously was shaky, but Richard says, where are all the Jones haters at now? Y'all stay on that side of the table. Simple as that. Let's see. Joey says the O-line is better than it's getting credit for. It's better than last season. I do think, though, that they're scheming things to protect it as well. Like I said, I mean, their running game today, okay? Their running game, let's see. I'm not great at math. I'm okay at math. I'm not great at math. So, okay. So they had 31 carries. This is the Giants running game, okay? With Singletary, Tracy, Jones, Neighbors, and Eric Gray. They had 31 carries for 69 yards outside of Singletary's 43-yard run at the end. I mean, the O-line could be better, right? Like the O-line does not run block very well. That is true. In pass pro, it is better, no doubt about it. I also think Daboll has smartly been protecting them by scheming the plays, to attack the defense they are facing. Joey B says he's happy for Chapman. Yes, the undrafted rookie Elijah Chapman. The Giants' interior defensive line has been a big issue, especially run defense. And this is an undrafted tryout rookie here. And Elijah Chapman in this game, he ends up with 3 tackles, his first career NFL sack, a tackle for a loss, a quarterback hit, and a fumble recovery. Fill in the box score there, Elijah Chapman. Ken is pumped that the Ravens are putting it to the Cowboys. Michael says, great first half. Second half looks sluggish. No urge to score. Careless play calling. Kind of frustrating. Overall, good win. That's a really good summation, Michael. I think that's a very measured take, too. I think the people coming into this chat screaming about, are you still asking Daboll about his job, right? It's like, and then there's the people like, hey, like this is still all bad. Like neither one is true, right? This game had a lot of good and they deserve a lot of credit for the win. And then there's the critical corrective piece that you're just mentioning about the second half and the game management and play calling that needs to get figured out from that second half, right? So all of those things are true. I think you break it down well. Jonathan says that bend but don't break my balls defense is suspect. You got to get after the quarterback. I hope they don't think too hard and change what works. They have to have the right mix against Dallas. Jonathan, well said. The key, though, is when you do what they did today, the pass rush needs to get there, right? And that's, again, Watson today did help the Giants with slow processing. The pass rush got there. The Giants had 8 sacks. It was great. Shane Bowen and the Giants defensive players, they all deserve a lot of credit here. But as we're talking about, it does need to be noted and reminded that if you send pressure like this on the back end, like we've talked already today about what the secondary is looking like, you need to protect that secondary, right? All right. Joel says, Pat, last one for the live. Joel, thank you so much for carrying us with the super chats. Guys, if you haven't had your comment or question answered yet and you want it to be addressed to the top of the queue, you can purchase a super chat or super sticker and elevate it to the top of the thread. If you are here, even if you don't want to purchase a super chat or super sticker, please give that thumbs up on the chat as we are live right now. Hit that thumbs up, those like buttons. When you do it when we are live, that really helps push to the YouTube algorithm that the people here live are enjoying this, and it's going to push it to other Giants fans out there. Tell them that we are live, and that'll bring more people our way. So I really appreciate that. Also, if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit subscribe before you leave. Thank you so much. So Joel says Singletary is killing us with his fumbles. Terrible ball placement, holding the ball in the wrong arm when running on sideline. Tiki 2.0. Yeah, he's shifty. He just has to be careful when he's being shifty about holding on to that ball. It is hard sometimes. These guys go horizontally left to right, not just north-south. They're going east-west. There's those jump cuts, and they really have to make sure that they're holding on. You're right. It is killing them. He knows it. Let me see. After the game, Singletary said he was sick about the fumbles, but my brothers had my back. They didn't let me put my head down. They told me to stay locked in. They said they were going to need me, and I was glad I was able to help us get the win today. So that's a veteran. Like, he considers himself one of the leaders of the team, one of the emotional leaders of the team, and he has been a playmaker for them now. So far this season, when the offense is going, he is making plays. So they're going to need him. So you can't just take him out of the game plan. As you saw, Dable does go back to him in the clutch, and he makes a play for him. But it was noteworthy that to start the next drive, Tyrone Tracy came out onto the field and got an opportunity there. So, that was extremely noteworthy to me. And I think Tracy's going to continue to be more involved. All right, let's get back into the queue. Let's see. Joey B says the defense has to pressure way more like they did today. Joey B says you can tell Pat is from Philly. He is always late and doesn't give an F. That's so funny, Joe. Well, it's funny. I debate in my mind, should I push the lives back later, like as far as what the time is for me to start them? Because some of these games I can start by 5:30 or 5:45 on a 1 o'clock game. But some of these other games I can't start until like 6:10, 6:15, 6:30. So I've been putting down, hey, we're going to start 5:45, and then we start a little bit later. But if you guys would prefer, I know probably the best thing for you is to do it right after the game. But I have to honor my full-time employer at the New York Daily News and the readers and viewers at the New York Daily News first, and really kind of get into those stories. And by the way, if you go to the Daily News website, nydailynews.com, full stories with tons of quotes. There's one main game story that points out right at the top that the Giants defense and team, Dexter Lawrence, Jason Pinnock, talking about that their motto today was F it, and that's essentially their motto for the season. And also a story on Malik Neighbors because bounces back from the fourth down drop in Washington, and also just a lot of great quotes, a lot of great plays, and heavy usage again in a Giants victory here. So I do prefer to be early. I do subscribe to the Tom Coughlin. If you're early, you're late, generally as a professional. So apologies for being tardy on the time that I posted this would begin, but thanks for waiting me out. By the way, if you're listening on this podcast to Talkin Ball Live with Pat Leonard postgame on the audio version on the Believe Network, that's on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get it. Thanks for listening. And also, please subscribe, give us 5-star reviews, give us some reviews on Apple and Spotify. That helps us grow as well. And then also, please join us here the next time we're doing this live. Hold on, I got to close this window here in the press box. All right. See, we stay here late enough here at the stadium, here at the Cleveland Brown Stadium, which keeps changing names. I think it's Huntington Bank Field right now. Hard to keep track of it all, but we stay here late enough. The cleaning crews are out. The 4 o'clock games are getting late, and we're still rolling here on Talkin Ball Live. But remember, we're sponsored here by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. That's where you're going to win all football season long. If you click on the link in my bio at YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or X, P Leonard NYDN there, PL on NFL everywhere else, Threads. Click on the link and you can enter my promo code. It's Pat's Picks, PATSPICKS. That promo code, Pat's Picks, will get you a 100% match of your first deposit of $50 or more, up to $1,000, plus a $10 casino chip. MyBookie is celebrating its 10th anniversary, and they're rolling out the red carpet for you your sports bettors. You got to bet confident. If you want to bet confidently, go to MyBookie. There's risk-free Thursdays. Use the promo code, like I said, Pat's Picks. If you're already a MyBookie Rewards member, there's a MyBookie Plus rewards program. That's a loyalty rewards program. It's simple. The more you play, the more you earn. And as you progress through the tiers, you unlock exclusive promotions, epic giveaways, and cash back in your account. That will, progress through the tiers, unlock exclusive promotions. So whether you're betting the underdogs all the time, whether you love to bet the favorites, whether you're looking for backdoor covers or a shootout between two Lombardi contenders, MyBookie is here to help you cash in all season long. Also brought to you by Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink. It's a natural extract loaded with anti-inflammatory, immune-boosting antioxidants and heart-healthy compounds. You can easily pour this natural liquid supplement into any of your favorite drinks. I put mine in my coffee every morning and immediately feel the difference. I personally have felt a post-workout-like energy boost with Boom. Chaga also has the ability to lower cholesterol, reduce inflammation, and improve immune and heart health with its beta-glucans and antioxidants. Go to boomchaga.com today to place your first order. And if you use the discount code TalkinBall25 or access it through the QR code on your screen right here, easy for me to say, you'll get a 25% off your first subscribe and save order. Right now, that means a month's supply costs you only $30. Start feeling the difference today at boomchaga.com. Again, boomchaga.com. That is, go to order one bag of it, put it in your cart, go to the subscribe and save option, put in the Talkin Ball 25 code or use the QR code here, and you'll get 25% off that first subscribe and save order. And then you don't have to stay subscribed. You can cancel at any time. You're not obligated to stick around, and it's not going to penalize you for canceling. It's just a great way to support the channel. These sponsors help support and keep Talkin Ball with Pat Leonard live running. Okay, that's what these sponsors are doing here, keeping us going. And so if you guys can help the pod and support the pod in that way, really appreciate that. If not, like I said, purchase the super chats, super stickers, or just hit that like button while you are here. We appreciate any support, even if you're just dropping in a question, listening, or watching. It's a great way to support what we are doing here. Also brought to you by Estate 98 Coffee, an Essentia Day Cafe. It's an all-natural specialty coffee with no sugar that is convenient for on-the-go professionals and coffee drinkers on the go. Takes me less than 10 seconds to make a delicious Estate 98 coffee and only a minute more to make a hot coffee or latte from this all-natural concentrate, and only a minute more to make a hot coffee or latte. Again, like with this all-natural concentrate. Go to estate98.com/talkinball to get a special buy one, get one free deal. Again, estate98.com/talkinball to get a special buy one, get one free deal. Just relocated up here in the press box because the cleaning crew out there, they have a job to do, and don't want to, other people's voices drowning out the microphone. Although it might be interesting to hear what some of these Clevelanders have to say. To be honest, it was interesting. Giants got booed off their field in week 1 against the Vikings, but they played well enough in the first half that the Browns were getting booed off the field here in Cleveland. So Giants turned it around on the Browns. Jim says the Browns lost that game more than we won it. They had good field position between the 2 and 3 minute mark, and the receivers dropped 2 passes. I think Banks was supposed to be covering them. Jim, that's a fair observation for sure. Todd says Dak is playing terribly. Why isn't anyone talking about that contract? Todd, I'm not sure if you watch any NFL programming, but every network, every day that covers the NFL talks about Dak Prescott's contract. So it is literally one of the biggest lightning rods in all of pro sports. Let's see. Jim says we will be out of the Daniel Jones contract this season. Dallas just recommitted long-term to Dak. That's true. Dak also, listen, Dak was the runner-up MVP last year in the NFL. Like, he finished second in MVP voting next year. So it's not like this guy hasn't earned money. Like, listen, they're not playing well. The Eagles, the Cowboys, the Giants, right? Going into the season, all 3 of those teams were on coach firing watch. So, that's where we're at. Joe says, I feel like we need quarterback help, right? Banks is getting cooked. Yep, a lot of concern about Banks. Hunter says, it's funny, there was talk about bye week. Giants could fire their coach. Cowboys may beat them to it if they lose to us. Hey, Bill Belichick waiting in the wings. Like I said, all three of those NFC East teams all season. Got to watch them. Let's see. Andre says, what other options are there for kick returner? So there's their punt returner, Amir Smith-Marset, right? He's relatively new to the team. There is Wan'Dale Robinson and Darius Slayton on the depth chart as well. And they're guys who go back there and practice sometimes, not much. Turbo Miller, Dante Turbo Miller also, you don't want to elevate a guy just to be a kick returner, obviously, because you need to use those elevations for some other players as well. But, that's another guy who's an option. But those are the guys who, kind of waiting in the wings. I personally think that punt returner Smith-Marset would probably go back there with Tyrone Tracy Jr. if it's not Gray. I do know that Gabriel likes running backs back there, though. Like he has talked about that he likes running backs. He kind of sees them as an extension of a long running play. So he thinks that the running backs are good with their collision balance and breaking arm tackles to burst through and make a play. That's what I've heard him say his philosophy. Barb says Derrick Henry is steamrolling them boys. I picked Derrick Henry in my fantasy today, and unfortunately, I didn't make a lot of other good picks, but I was on Derrick Henry. Jonathan says they need to stop leaving Banks on an island. Jay Mazzella says it's not if they are a good team, the media narrative. Okay, I don't know what exactly that was a response to, but I'll address that, Jay, if you want to drop that in later, kind of more specifically. Lewis says, yeah, that's the problem. Banks is always on an island. Kyle says, is this team capable of keeping their foot on the gas on offense? First time we've been in the driver's seat at halftime. Great field position multiple times and can't get any points to help the defense. Yes, did seem like a nerve-wracking second half there offensively, both play calling wise and execution wise. So that's certainly something to improve on. Jay Wordsman is on it. He says, who snuck Boom Chaga into the Giants coffee this morning? That was me, Jay. I went to the team hotel. I gave each player a little packet of Boom Chaga. They poured it in their coffee, and that was the difference today. No, I'm just kidding. But I do want them to try it out. I think they'd like it. But, yes, they did seem to have a shot of something going into this game, that's for sure. Let's see. Kyler says, what's up with Slayton? Hyatt season looked like a hand injury. Hyatt got, spot snaps in this game. I mean, obviously, Dable did the, hey, let's give him a start. They used him as a decoy in the first play. They took a deep shot to him on, I think, the second drive that the Giants had offensively. But Jalen Hyatt only 10 snaps in this game. Personally think it would be Isaiah Hodgins getting called up and maybe Hyatt getting a little bit more run as well. So a combination. Yeah, Brett says, if anything, give Banks help near the goal line. D-Kit says, crazy game. Justin says, Pat, appreciate all the great coverage. What was the sense in the locker room as far as what they can take away from today's win and into a potentially season-defining game Thursday against Dallas? So, Justin, a couple things. One was I think you could generally say that the Giants' best players played the best today. That was something I think they were excited about. So, top players, meaning either their best players skill-wise or their biggest investments. So that's Daniel Jones, Dexter Lawrence, Malik Neighbors, Brian Burns. And, listen, Andrew Thomas was blocking Myles Garrett today. So you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. Andrew Thomas is a stud. I think that was one major takeaway in there. The guys they know that it almost got away from them. They understand it was not perfect. They understand they made mistakes and they were close to coughing it up and falling to 0-3. But they also, again, they just went through a game where a lot went right on offense, and they were in position to win, but they lost because they beat themselves. And now they come into a game where they did a lot right. They did a lot that shot themselves in the foot and put them in the position to possibly lose, but they win. So they just went through the difficulty of the adversity and the silver linings, but ultimately losing and mentally and emotionally working through that and trying to plow through and face that adversity. So now they're taking it positively out of, okay, we faced that adversity, we learned from it, and we just learned that it's still not going to be perfect, but we can win those games when it's not going to be perfect, right? So I think that was a huge takeaway the guys were talking about. Also, just that the players themselves are playing very freely in this game specifically, like especially on defense. I feel like the defense came out of the last game. No one said this word, but I think they were embarrassed about that game, not forcing an opponent to punt, right? So I think they really took it to heart, and individually and as a unit, showed up and were proud of that. Now going into Dallas, they're well aware of the challenge they face, but they said, listen, like Neighbor said it perfectly. He said, it's a relief because if you go into that game with another loss, the feeling is just dramatically different than going in with a win, even though in the same respect, that it's a tough test. The Giants are 0-4 against the Cowboys under Daboll and Shane. That they've been outscored in that matchup by a combined score of 140-53. So they knew it's going to be difficult no matter what. But being able to look at what they did today and say, we see results from the process, and now we know it could translate, they can now go into this game saying, okay, we feel like we just put a winning plan together. Let's put another one together. And Dexter Lawrence said that he kind of prefers that, even though they won this game, he said that he prefers that they win and then they can just go play again. They're not sitting here feeling like they have it all figured out for a full week and all that. Like, he likes that they're going to get right back to it. So those are some of the takeaways. Lewis says Hyatt doesn't look part of the offense yet, not terribly involved. Like I said, I thought that whole thing that happened at the end of the week felt like almost a contrived way to tell teams out there, hey, this guy doesn't play a lot here and isn't happy. Maybe give a call. Maybe he's available. I mean, listen, Joe Shane and the Giants don't want to trade and draft picks and admit that draft picks aren't working out for sure. And obviously, if the season went south, it makes more sense for like Darius Slayton to be the guy to be traded. You actually get something for a veteran who's played and proven that he can produce versus Jalen Hyatt, who's still putting that resume together and is your young developing player. But I think that continues to be a situation to monitor because you're right. He's not a major part of the offense at all. And that drama, the bottom line is there's something to that. There's not nothing to the Jalen Hyatt situation. You know what I mean? So I was talking about intermittent fasting earlier. Joey says, Pat, I've been doing the same thing with the eating. I moved my window from 4 to 10 p.m. to eat. Yeah, right. Like I started with 11 to 7, then I moved it from 11:30 to 7:30 because 7 was just too quick coming off of everything I had going on during the day. Tracy needs more snaps with Singletary Gray fumbling, says Brett. I agree. He is a rookie, so chances are you give him a high volume. Eventually the ball come out there too, but I agree. I think Tracy's a good back. Let's give Daniel Jones his flowers, says Authentic. Plus, what's up? It seems like the media wants the coach fired so Bill can take his place. Am I reaching? No, I don't know. I do not want anybody fired. The media does not want anybody fired. That was my questioning and my writing and my coverage of this team coming into this game, purely based on information, things I understand about the dynamic of the organization and the team. And what will be tolerated and what won't. So obviously winning this game is a huge weight off of Daboll's back there and off the team's back for sure in that regard. But no, nobody wants the coach fired. I got to admit, I was thrilled seeing this result today. I don't root for teams, but as much as I didn't think the Giants were going to do this today, I enjoyed walking into that locker room, talking to guys about playing well, about finding results, about giving the fan base some hope, about, listen, you want to watch greatness. Like you want to watch Dexter Lawrence dominate double teams. You want to watch Malik Neighbors go so high for a ball that you say, I don't even think I've seen that before. For him to rip a pass out of the hands of a corner out in front of them on the sideline where you say, I've been watching sports a long time. I don't remember seeing that either. You want some excitement. You want some – listen, we go on these Talkin Ball Postgame lives. We go on Talkin Ball Live 3 times a week here. And when we do these, I'll tell you what I know, what is going on with the team, right? But it can be critical and frequently a lot of talk about what's going wrong when there's not a lot of silver linings. But isn't everybody looking for better things to talk about, positive developments, growth of players? Like, that's what I want. That's what I want to see. I want to cover a Super Bowl team. That's what I want to cover. If the Giants win a Super Bowl, I will be thrilled, because if they win a Super Bowl, I get to cover a team that wins the Super Bowl. And I hope that happens. I can't wait. Ed says, being from Philly, you must hate the Giants. No, definitely do not. Do not hate the Giants. They have been a huge part of my life. They are my life now, really, in a lot of ways, professionally, the Giants and the NFL. And no, I love covering this team. I'm privileged to cover this team. I'm a huge sports fan. I always was. And even though I grew up in Philadelphia, I don't cheer for teams now, and I cheer for individuals. And there's plenty of guys in the Giants locker room where when they do something good, I feel especially happy for them. Like Azeez Ojulari today. It's a good example of that. Azeez Ojulari, 2 tackles, a sack, 2 quarterback hits, and falling on that fumble, that unforced error by the Cleveland Browns offense there. I mean, Deshaun Watson and Jerome Ford just fumbling it on the mesh, a handoff exchange. I mean, Jesus. But like Azeez Ojulari, that's a good example of a guy who, just deserves it. He gets banged up a lot, makes a good play, then he's out of the lineup, right? Like, this is just the kind of guy that everybody should root for. But no, I do not root for I do not hate the Giants. I like covering the Giants, and I want, above all, to cover a winning team, because I haven't done it since my first season here. And even then, it was, listen, 2022, they went to the playoffs. It was a good early run, and then the team was not very good. They did win the playoff game, though. That was fun. Then got blown out in Philadelphia. So it was kind of hard to see. It felt like a house of cards, but, really not since that first year of Ben McAdoo when they went to the playoffs there and won 11 games. And, of course, that was even colored and tinted by the whole Josh Brown situation. So, I am eager to cover a team. I am eager to cover a team that is winning here in New York, and to cover a Giants team that succeeds. And also, Ed, this is the selfish part of it. You have to understand something too. So, this does not affect how I cover a team, but I'm just saying, if you want to know how I feel about it, being a reporter and a columnist, when a staff turns over at an organization like the Giants, they bring in new coaches, new general manager, new scouts, etc. Those are all new sources and relationships you have to build and work on. Now, I will always work hard, and I never have a problem working hard. I never sit there and say I'm working too hard or I don't want to work as hard. Like, that's not me. So I don't care about working hard to develop new relationships and sources. But as a reporter and a writer and a columnist who covers a team, it can be really difficult when a staff is turning over every 2 years. So you form relationships, people get fired. Then you form relationships with the new staff, then they get fired. And you know what I mean? And so consistency is good for everybody. So that's what I would say to that. I hope that, that's a fair question. It's okay for you asking that, obviously. But I hope when I give these totally transparent answers here, I hope you guys understand, that I'm being forthright and transparent and honest with you. I hope that comes through here. And that I'm, this is my truth. This is what I'm telling you. This is my truth. Let's see. Solving says Daniel Jones played one of his best games in a while. Great potential with this team if it becomes actualized. Jay says, Pat, the media narrative was that this team had too many hurdles to win this game. Clearly, the past 2 weeks of media narrative was wrong, as this win could not happen. Jay, definitely my prediction for this game was wrong. I think that Dable did a good job in the first half schematically to offset what the Browns were going to take advantage of with the Giants. And I think Shane Bowen's defense had a better plan. I think the defense obviously played a lot better, stopped the run. The Giants still do have issues to diagnose and fix. But, absolutely, I was wrong about this game. I mean, I thought the Browns were going to cover 6.5, and the Giants won outright. So, for sure. But I do think enough operational issues, like last week, the way they lost that game, this week, the way that they almost gave it up after having it, right? That there are reasons for that. Those are imperfections in this roster's makeup and its leadership and its decision-making. So those things are there too. But yeah, obviously I was wrong about predicting this game. I mean, how could I say I wasn't? Mark says, I hate that Singletary didn't get the touchdown there. It would have been a 2-possession game. I get it, but I don't get it. Daboll is not playing to win. Well, no, it was just he was playing to win there because actually Wan'Dale Robinson reminded Singletary to get down there. The idea was you are playing to win because when you slide down there, you know they have no timeouts left. So you know at that point you can run the clock out as opposed to giving them a chance to get the ball back, even though it's 2 scores, and then there's other permutations of things that can happen. So that was actually the right smart thing to do. British says Panthers are winning, so maybe the Munich game won't be a total dead game. That's a good point. Barb says Dem boys have no offense other than CD. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what version of Dallas shows up on Thursday, isn't it? I mean, they're a weird team right now. So what happened today? The Eagles squeaked one out, man. The Eagles have a lot of problems. I mean, they win that game and go to 2-1, but they have a lot of problems. And then you have Dallas, which is trying to come back right now. They're down 10 with under 3 minutes left. They just scored a touchdown. So that one's tight. We'll see where that goes. Who's that? Kavonte Turpin catching a touchdown. So we'll see where that goes. And then, listen, Washington's going to lose to Cincinnati tomorrow night. I mean, don't put your mortgage on it. But it'll probably be Eagles 2-1, Cowboys, who knows, Giants 1-2, Washington 1-2 going into this game. But that's a good point, is basically, we don't know which Cowboys you're going to see. Brett says the defense was aggressive in the first half, then got soft. I'm glad Bowen turned it up near the end. Let's see. Brett says blank the Cowboys. Hell of a bounce back after going down by a touchdown in the first minute, says Human. Yep, no doubt. Hank says the Browns' offensive line was patched together. Let's relax. When we play real competition, we show our true talent. So Hank wants to see more. Diggy says, Pat, why does it seem like there's always a 50-50 chance we hear the questions during player-coach interviews? Can there just be a megaphone for all you guys to speak into? Diggy, that's a really good point. I think that's really about how they set up the audio. Like, if I'm at a guy's locker, then you can hear every question that's being asked, right? When it's in the press conference setting, every team and the Giants do different press conferences differently depending on how it's laid out and where it's laid out. So unfortunately, there's no way of controlling that. But if you want to know certain things that were asked and how they were asked, like feel free to ask me on here and I'll try to get the best information to you I can. Brett says everybody thought the game was over in the first minute. Well, I thought it was over when Daniel threw the interception, when it was 7-0. When he threw that interception, if they don't throw that flag, to me, the game would have been over there, just to how it would have progressed. But obviously, huge turning point. And then it's funny. I also said out loud in the press box at a certain point, it was right before Singletary's fumble. I said, this game's over, and then Singletary fumbled the ball at midfield, and I was like, well. Brett says Johnson had a rough game, I believe. Then Bellinger made a great catch. Yeah, tight ends are imperfect on this roster. You have a good catch and then a drop, or a good block and then a hold. Ed said, I'm glad Jones had a pretty good game, but it seems like he badly overthrows long passes. Is that what you saw also? Yeah, he overthrew Hyatt. He overthrew Neighbors. That would have been a touchdown. So NYOG says Dable didn't seem to have the next set of adjustments when the Browns made their second half adjustments. Well said, NYOG. That is true. Brett says Burns played well. Kayvon had a big play, right, on that third down and short. And Aziz checking in, no doubt. Giants win, cherry on top of Joey B's birthday weekend. Happy birthday, Joey B. Please, everybody, wish Joe a happy birthday. Great win, but we should be 2-1, Joseph says. Joe says, that's the story of the Giants. We feel crappy at 1-2 with a sliver of hope, but we could be puffing our chest out in 2-1. But this is what I'm saying about the NFL. This is something that Jordan Raanan from ESPN always talks about, and I agree with him. Like right now, the Ravens are up 28-25 on the Cowboys with 2:44 to play, okay? Now, if the Ravens hold on and win this game, even though they coughed up a big lead, okay, they deserve to get credit for a win. And Dallas deserves to be criticized for the loss. If Dallas comes back and wins, even though they played like crap most of the day before they came back, Dallas gets credit for a win and Baltimore gets credit for a loss in a close game. This is just how the NFL works. Like teams win and lose close games all the time. So to me, it's just you cannot play the game of we should be 2-1. Like the Eagles, there are people right now saying the Eagles could be 3-0 if Saquon didn't drop that pass against the Falcons, right? But there's also people saying the Eagles could be 1-2 if if the Saints didn't cough that up at the end and Saquon didn't have those big plays at the end, right? Because the Eagles didn't look like a team that deserved to win today. So, like, you can go both ways. It's silly. Let's see. Big Dash says, Pat, we got one. No doubt, Big Dash. By the way, Big Dash, we got to get in touch. Got to get the next creator series going. I think for me and you, that may be coming up soon if you're down with that. Yeah, Derek's with me. You either win or you lose. Let the turnaround begin. Glad we got Adoree. Anthony says, I know we didn't have a big day running the ball, but I was happy they didn't get away from it, especially against a top run defense. Yeah, that's a good play. Or that's a good point. Stick with it, That's what Dable said, too. He felt like they stuck with it enough, even though it wasn't doing well. Jay says, I thought you were going to ask who the leading tackler was. It was Cordell Flott. Yes, that was the Browns attacking the outside and the edges, right? Brett wants to know if Ford Wheaton had any snaps besides the plays he made on special teams. No, he did not. He played one offensive snap the week before. He had none in this game. That's a good point, though, because when you guys asked about who would be up next at receiver, I did not mention him. He's obviously been active for all these games. I do think they really like him on special teams. Not sure how much trust they will show in him in a game, especially a big game like that, a turnaround, a short week game plan. I think maybe especially if Slayton is – I don't know if Slayton's going to be out. I mean, he said he's all right. But if you need some insurance there – I think you're more likely going to like a veteran like Isaiah Hodgins coming off the practice squad. But that's a fair point. I mean, Ford Wheaton does have length and speed. Big Dash says, thanks for the injury updates. You got it, Big Dash. Peterstown says, need to see Tracy coming out of the backfield, catching passes more often. He has the ability to break a few of those loose. Tyrone Tracy needs the ball more. I agree 100%. Running and passing. What will we do about our kickers, says Brett. Got to do something because holy shit. Did you guys see that miss by Greg Joseph? I mean, not to be vulgar, but holy shit. What a terrible miss that was from Greg Joseph. Stop it with the TD King. I want a season to watch. Next year, like next week. Stop it with the tanking talk. I want a season to watch. Next year, like next week, isn't promised. Let's win. Yeah, Anthony, I agree with that. Especially because let's be fair here. last week we're talking about Brian Daboll's job security, the whole regime security, right? So those guys, tomorrow is not promised for them. Yeah, they're both on 5-year contracts, but we know this is the NFL. It's not for long. It's what have you done for me lately, right? And so the Giants brass, right? Like Brian Daboll, Joe Schoen, they want to make progress. They need to make progress. So even though there's the, greasing the national media and the skids for like, hey, look at next year's draft, look at what we're building the next year, and all that like long game that they play. They can't afford to just have this season be whatever. It had to take a turn fast here. All right, let's see. Charles says, who would win in a fight, you or Daboll? First of all, I hope you're actually Charles Barkley. That would be sweet because it says Charles Barkley. Second of all, Brian Daboll and I are not fighting. Third of all, I think Brian Daboll lost a lot of weight, and now I'm losing a lot of weight. So it would definitely be a featherweight bout if it ever happened. But no, we are not fighting. Let's see. I'm a fan says, are they going to keep Joseph or are they looking for a new kicker? I think they need to go look for a new kicker. That was ridiculous. Mark says, do you see the only way to quiet reporters like Pat is to win the game? LOL. Cheers, Pat. Mark, that's funny. Yeah, no. Definitely, though, asking plenty of questions to Brian Daboll after the game, like right away, just said, hey, what do you think the key to the game was to your win? And then also, I was the one who asked Daboll the question about his play calling. I said, as a play caller in the first half, did you feel like you had the right plan to attack Jim Schwartz's defense? Because I felt like he did, and that's where Daboll talked about getting into a rhythm. So I was giving him credit for that for sure. Yeah, listen, your game gets covered based on the result, right? You get covered as a loss if you lose and as a win as if you win. And then the pluses and minuses get pointed out in both regardless. But a victory helps. There's no question about it. So someone named Big Pat says, Pat, meaning Pat Leonard, looks so unhappy when the Giants win. I am not unhappy. I am happy. I am happy at this result. I am happy at the Giants winning, giving us a victory to talk about and getting, as I said in my lead for the New York Daily News, they're off the mat, right? Brian Daboll and the Giants are off the mat. Now they have to back it up against Dallas, but they're off the mat. And this game on Thursday now is exciting. It matters. Looking forward to it. Brett says Jones was just a few inches off from Wandale, Neighbors, and Johnson throws. All would have been big plays, no doubt. Brett says, good job, Meatball, meaning Daboll. I'll hand it to you this time. Third quarter was sloppy, though. Jay Berman says, Tiki learned to protect the ball better under Coughlin. Please tell Joe Schoen to bring in Coughlin to work with Singletary. Brett says, Bobby Okereke seemed quiet. Felt like they blitzed him a lot today. Let me check what the numbers are on Next Gen here. Okay. So Bobby Okereke had 2 quarterback pressures. Let's see. Pass rush. Bobby Okereke, 14 rushes. Okay. So Bobby Okereke rushed the passer 14 times today. That's a lot for him. I'm pretty sure, just going off the numbers. So you had Micah McFadden rushed 10 times, Okereke 14, Pinnock 4, Simmons 5. So that's a lot of pass rushers coming from people that weren't on the defensive line there. I think that's why Okereke was not as out in space making tackles all over the place as you're used to seeing. Also, McFadden played really well. Like I thought Micah McFadden played really well, and I think you guys mentioned that earlier. Bangkok says, Pat, do you think Daniel Jones can maintain this competent level? Yes, I think he's capable of making big plays here and there. I also think that if you have a player like Neighbors either bailing you out or helping you out in certain key moments like that, then that makes a quarterback better. Like, it just makes a quarterback better. So, it's not always going to be perfect from the quarterback. And, that's what you need to see. By the way, the Baltimore Ravens are icing the game here, and the Cowboys will lose. So it will be Eagles 2-1, Cowboys and Giants both 1-2, and Washington is 1-1 going into Monday Night Football. And then the Giants will be facing Dallas, two teams at 1-2. Huge game on Thursday night. The Prime Video Amazon people have to be thrilled. Chronicle says, do Jordan, Rodon, and Dable have beef? Dable mentioned Jordan in the press conference because I guess he was calling him out for always asking about explosive plays. So that's why he said Jordan. Listen, these guys might say that they don't watch or read or anything, but trust me, they do. All right. Let's see. Ken says, if Daniel continues to be the guy from 2022 or better, what do they do with his contract if he stays? Well, if he stays, if he's good and puts it together and they don't draft a quarterback next year and he sticks around, now you're talking about sticking with Daniel, okay, into year 3. Now you're inching towards Arch Manning territory if Daniel Jones falters the following season, right? That would be where that gets to be a realistic thing if it goes in that direction. But listen, if he's a $40 million quarterback and it turns out he has a really good season, now you say he's obviously worth it because now the top quarterback salaries, like as far as like the top 5 quarterback salaries or whatever, are much, much higher than that. Yes, Andy Dalton, big day today. Ken says, terrible call. Having neighbors take a direct snap from the 5-yard line. He's a rookie on a condensed field. Good thing he didn't throw an interception. Smart play by the kid. Kyler says, can the Giants release Jones after the season and re-sign him on a new deal, like a 1-year deal to start again with a rookie behind him? If he plays like today, that's at least serviceable until rookie. Kyler, Daniel Jones will not do that. I don't know what incentive he would have to do that. No. Like if he's playing, good enough football that you want him back, then why would he do that? What ifs don't count in the NFL, Optimal says. Joey says, Pat, I'm in town Thursday night staying after the game. So can I come to the press box for Talkin Ball after the game live? I don't think I'd be able to get you in for that, Joey B, but we'll figure out something. So thanks for letting me know. We'll figure out something for sure. I'm trying to get on this Prime Video broadcast, man. They got to have me on this Prime Video Thursday night broadcast. Optimal says, what was the point of draft trading up to get Hyatt if they're not going to utilize him? Well, that's called evaluating a player as one thing and then finding out he's another in your building. Diggy says, do you believe Jordan Rodon made up the story about Hyatt requesting a trade? If he did make that up, that seems incredibly egregious to do. He did not make that up. That story was true, Diggy. The Giants were saying it wasn't. Hyatt said it wasn't, but no, they are not. Jordan was not making it up. That was true. Diggy says, are you and Dayball cool, do you think? Do you all talk out at all outside the pressers? I mean, we're fine. It's a professional relationship. It's not a personal, it's not a personal relationship. It's a professional relationship. So, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. He answered 2 or 3 questions from me today. He'll answer more questions from me tomorrow, etc. Joey B wants the kicker from the Buffalo Bills who got cut. I don't think John Mara wants to wade down that territory. Rush 5 says, no, Pat, you are not happy because you are not a Giant fan, but a fake schmuck who is fishing for publicity. Rush 5, very strange for you to come all the way into this chat and be that nasty. What I do like about this community is nobody really talks like that. I am definitely not fishing for publicity. I am okay with all the people who are in here who appreciate my content, and I am happy that the team won today. I was saying that to the other reporters outside the locker room, that I was glad to cover a win. I was glad the team won. It makes Thursday more exciting. It makes the season more exciting. hopefully this becomes a fun thing to cover instead of always like what went wrong, which is what it had been. You know what I mean? So yeah, no. But thanks, Rush 5, for being super negative after I've been positive for like an hour and a half. I don't get it. All right, so Diggy says, I bet he reads your comment, so at least have to respect him for that, don't you think? Yeah, exactly. All right. Joey Green says Daboll never makes adjustments. 21 points, no second half points. Brett says no QB, Manning when it's time. Big Dash reminds everybody, hit the like button, folks. Thank you so much, Big Dash. I really appreciate that. Remember, guys, if you're not purchasing a super chat or super sticker, please hit the like button while you're here. Those live likes really help the algorithm. And tell more Giants fans that we're here because we're continuing to grow, continuing to build. This channel keeps growing exponentially because of all of you. So I really appreciate that. And we're going to continue to grow it. It's going to continue to get big, and we're going to continue to bring you live updates from these games and from the press box. So, keep bringing that to you. Michael Knight says, good evening, Pat. Can you tell me why Banks never turns around in coverage? He's supposed to at the last minute there, like to get that positioning, get his hand where it needs to be, and then kind of find the ball at the end after he finds his spot. To be honest, as concerning as that is, I think it's just as concerning that in the red zone, his leverage, his ability to play that inside-outside leverage, and when he plays outside leverage and the receivers run those slants to the inside on him, it just looks like that he really struggles down there. I don't know what they need to do better there, but that's a question worth asking as we go. Let's see. Ryan says could have been 35-0 if they don't fumble twice. Brett, thank you. He says, thanks, Pat. Be safe out there. Kyler says Rush 5 probably participates in Diddy parties talking to Pat crazy like that. Wow. Hey, let's be nice. Let's be nice. See what you started, Rush 5? You started it, man. This is, come on. Joey B says, great win and an even better live. Joe, you always make it better on here. Big Dash in the house, says Kyler. Rush, you don't like Rush 5. Joey B, I got you. Ken says, why does anyone ever return the ball kicked in the end zone? It never goes past the 30 and a penalty 50% of the time. Also, please stop having Gray play specials as a returner. I agree. Eric Gray doesn't bring a lot to the game. The NFL wants them to return the ball. I mean, teams still make their own decisions. So if it's just inside the end zone, it looks like maybe some of them are bringing it out. But if it's deep in the end zone, they usually don't. But I agree with you there. No Mets. What's up, No Mets? Thanks for checking in with a super chat. He says, Pat, what up? Solid win. Imagine this team with a legitimate wide receiver too, which is not a shot at Slayton, and better DB play. Good win. Yeah, listen, that's the roster construction, right? You did get something out of, obviously, Wan'Dale Robinson today with some good contributions in the passing game. You got on the interior D line, obviously, Elijah Chapman checking in. Wow, the Rams won that game? Holy cow, the Rams beating the Niners. Damn. I'm sure Vegas cleaned up today. But yeah, no Mets. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how well they can conceal those schematic or those personnel issues in some of those areas, right? Like especially in the secondary, because they got away with it today, but could be more difficult against some of these other offenses, especially the Cowboys on Thursday night. So, but well said, No Mets, and thank you so much for the super chat as always. Really appreciate that. Joey Green says, just hit the like, everyone. Thanks, Pat. Appreciate the great reporting. You got it, Joey. Kyler says, how was Flott today, do you think? Didn't hear his name, so is that good? Banks, I can see a lot of PI calls. Flott was okay. I mean, he's okay. I think I personally thought Deshaun Watson was a bigger issue in the passing game than anything. But, Flott obviously did not give up the pass that led to the losing field goal in the game today, so that's progress. Santi says, PL, what is it like with the vets and neighbors in the locker room? He talks like he is a 10-year vet every time he is in front of the mic. Yeah, it is interesting, right? Well, Dexter Lawrence had a pretty good comment. Like, the veterans really give him a lot of, support. Like Dex said that after last game when Neighbors had the drop on the 4th down and they lost, and then he saw Neighbors beating himself up, Dexter Lawrence went to Neighbors and said, I told him after that, you didn't let anyone down. All the greats make mistakes. It's just about responding. I said, good shit. Keep it going. So, in the locker room, there are a lot of, to your point, there are some veterans on this team that already don't have the kind of standing that Neighbors does in the locker room as far as being able to speak for the team, right? He's just that kind of talent. So, let's see. Killer Cam says Bowen may have held back from blitzing as much as he wanted by Vrabel when he was with Tennessee. Won't be Wink level, but I think we're going to see Bowen heat him up a lot more from here on out. Well, Killer Cam, I think he will blitz situationally. He is not a heavy blitzer. He is a coverage rush 4 guy. So today was out of the ordinary for him and out of his comfort zone. But maybe it's also good evolution as a play caller. Connor Hughes, the one and only Connor Hughes. We have a celebrity sighting, everyone. Checks in and says, wrap up the chat, bro, and get to dinner. We are hungry. Connor, I appreciate your concern. I will wrap it up soon here on Talkin Ball Live, post-game with Pat Leonard. But it's okay if you order without me because I am not eating. I am doing the intermittent fasting. So I will be drinking water, enjoying your company, watching Sunday Night Football. But thank you very much. So considerate of you. All right, down the stretch here. Diggy says, what do you think the reason Hyatt is not getting more snaps and wanted to be traded? Not being used, can't run the full route tree, not as good of a blocker as Slayton, not as reliable. And Hyatt said a couple times it had to do with Daniel Jones's comfort level. So his comfort level with other receivers. So, as you saw today, they got him involved here and there, but he only had 10 snaps. So it was kind of window dressing. Has Daniel, in your opinion, changed your opinion in the past 2 weeks, or is it the same, just waiting for the year to be over? I think if he has more games like this one where he puts a first half like that on tape, then it starts to change. You need to see it consistently. Kyler says on the Giants page, it says they were supposed to wear blue today and blue versus Dallas. Do you know why there was a change? Also, Darnold continued to shine away from Carolina and good coaching. Free Bryce Young. Yeah, free Bryce Young is right, no doubt. Although he is a young player who still needs to get better. I do not know why the change. Lucas says, do you think with the improvements each week actually shows the starters should play preseason? Fair question. They definitely practiced hard this summer, but didn't play. I do think that's something to consider. You also have to consider guys' health as well. So it's a slippery slope, but Lucas, not a bad point by you. Vikings will be in a tough spot next year with McCarthy. If Darnold keeps playing like this, he's going to be top free agent. They might have to franchise it, says Ken. That's called one of them good problems, Ken. Diggy says, did Wandale seem kind of upset to you? I think they were asking him about Neighbor's success, and he almost seemed jealous maybe. I don't know, Diggy. I didn't see that, to be honest. When Wandale was talking, I was over with Burns. So I didn't hear or see Wandale's interview. I'll take a look. Brett says, we missed Kadarius Toney. Yep, practice squad, didn't play. Or he's on the Browns, but he didn't play. He's injured. Big Dash reiterates, wrap it up for dinner. Yeah, no doubt. Antonio, yep, big win. Antonio says, how impressive was Malik Neighbors, man? Incredible. He's definitely going to see more coverage and double teams. Yeah, he is an absolute stud. I love how he welcomes being used so much and how he rises to the occasion in big spots. Also, listen, big bounce back from that drop in Washington. Made 2 plays today that were absolutely incredible. All right, that'll do it for Talkin Ball Postgame Live. Remember, we are sponsored by mybookie.ag. MyBookie, go to the link in my bio on all of my social channels, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, X, Threads, wherever, and click on that link, sign up for mybookie.com or mybookie.ag, and use the promo code PATSPICKS, P-A-T-S PICKS, and you'll get a 100% match on your first deposit of $50 or more up to $1,000, plus a $10 casino chip. MyBookie celebrating their 10th year anniversary, rolling out the red carpet for bettors. Go there today. My Wan'Dale Robinson over receiving yards hit in the first quarter today. So stick with my Pats picks every week. We're up and down on the game picks, but that's how it's going to go. Promise you, I'll do my best to make sure we come out on top both in week 3 and over the course of the season. Having a lot of fun there. So look for those every week. MyBookie, though, here to help you cash in every single moment. If you already have an account, sign up for that new loyalty rewards program, MyBookie Plus. Unlock some exclusive promotions there. MyBookie, bet anything, anytime, anywhere. Also brought to you by Estate 98 Coffee. It's an all-natural specialty coffee with no sugar, convenient for on-the-go coffee drinkers. 10 seconds to make a delicious iced coffee, a minute to make a hot coffee or latte. Go to estate98.com/Talkin Ball to get a special buy one, get one free deal. And brought to you, as always, by Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink, a natural extract loaded with anti-inflammatory, immune-boosting antioxidants, and heart-healthy compounds. You can easily pour this natural liquid supplement into any of your favorite drinks. I put mine in my coffee every morning and immediately feel the difference. I personally have felt a post-workout-like energy boost with Boom. Chaga also has the ability to lower cholesterol, reduce inflammation, and improve immune and heart health with its beta-glucans and antioxidants. Go to boomchaga.com today to place your first order. And if you use the discount code TalkinBall25 or the QR code on your screen, access it there, you'll get 25% off your first order on the subscribe and save option. You can buy one bag on subscribe and save and then cancel the subscription. It won't lock you in. Right now, that means a month's supply will cost you only $30 with this promo code. Start feeling the difference today at boomchaga.com. Guys, this has been a blast. Another fun Talkin Ball Postgame live here from the Cleveland Browns Stadium, where the Giants beat the Cleveland Browns 21-15. They improved to 1-2 and now prepare to host the Dallas Cowboys, who are also 1-2 at MetLife Stadium on Thursday Night Football. Really excited for that. So obviously, we're going to have another Talkin Ball Postgame live Thursday night from MetLife Stadium after the game. It's going to be late, so it probably won't be a long one, but we'll still go live after Thursday night's game. So I'll see you Talkin Ball live on Monday night, on September 23rd, Monday evening, halftime of Bengals Commanders. We will watch the second half of that together and talk more about the Giants after more conference calls and breakdowns of this game with Brian Daboll and the players. Thank you, everybody, for being here so much. Remember, you have all the information. The link is on my bio everywhere on my social. MyBookie, sign up there and use the code PATSPICKS. Boomchaga.com, use TalkinBall25, and estate98.com/TalkinBall to support the channel. Brett says, right on, Pat. Right on, Brett. Right back at you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. See you next time.